and then we'll be back into it with, I've got a million things I've been researching and listening to, so I've got some more great ideas of what we're going to chat about. Okay, quick drink. All right, and then we shall get into this. Okay, so this week, morning, Christy. This week in The Secret Life of Colour Part 2, we're talking about dangerous and dazzling colours. Okay, so last week was ancient and sacred colours, which were pigments made from crushed gemstones, minerals, and even mummies. This week we're heading into more dangerous territory. So we're talking about dangerous and dazzling colours. So the ones that gave artists incredible brilliance, but often came at a terrible cost. Christy, oh, hi, Julie as well. I'm so jealous. I would have loved to join the art retreat at Australia Zoo. Well, Christy, make sure you get on the wait list, or just, for next year. I would definitely be running them again. Okay. So yeah, if anyone is interested in art retreats, and they're all booked out at the moment, just if you go to my website, Kerri Dixon Art, and then under where it says learn, I think, click on that and it drops down and there's art retreats. And if you go in there, you'll see the wait list, so you can get your name on that. But Chrissy, I'll definitely be, when I have new ones available, the members, Creative Bar members will get first preference. So as long as you're in the, you're up to date with what's happening in the group and reading my emails, then you'll be the first to know. Okay, so we may end up running 2 Australia Zoo retreats next year to fill up. Depends on demand, of course. Hi, Jill, as well. Okay, let's get back to this. All right, so some of the most luminous colours in art history were also some of the most poisonous. So this is where we're talking they were deadly. So from lead white that slowly poisoned its painters, to chrome yellow that glowed like sunlight, but could fade and turn brown. So I suppose I think it did have some poisonous qualities, but not as deadly as the others. And malachite green that was as unstable as it was beautiful. Okay, so let's dive into the brilliant, sorry, and sometimes deadly stories behind these pigments. I think my throat gets like this because I don't talk, of course, to anyone, because I'm here by myself, until I start the Tuesday chat, so my voice isn't used to it. Hi, Karen. All right, so here's a couple of things you can let me know. When you think of dangerous art materials, what comes to mind first? Paints, solvents, or trying to sharpen a pencil, or something else? So let me know if what you think of when we talk about dangerous art materials. You could also put in there, do you have a favorite color that you always seem to reach for in your artwork? And also, do you think, if you found out that your favorite pigment was toxic, do you think you'd still use it, or would you swap it for a safer one? Okay, I think luckily we don't have as many toxic paints as they did back then. All right, so let's chat about lead white. It was essential but deadly. So for hundreds of years, lead white was one of the most important pigments on every artist's palette. It was used in oil paints, watercolors, pastels, even cosmetics. Oh, what's that? Oh, dangerous art material is your husband, Odette, because he stops you buying. So funny. All right, so how lead white was made. So since ancient Greece, lead white was made through what it was called the stack process. So sheets of lead were rolled into coils and placed in clay pots filled with vinegar. The pots were stacked in horse manure or spent tan bark, which created warmth and carbon dioxide. So over several weeks, the lead reacted with acetic acid and carbon dioxide, forming a white crust, basic lead carbonate. That crust was scraped off ground and washed to create bright, opaque white pigment. Now, the risk, unfortunately, that same lead compound is highly toxic. Artists, apprentices, and paint makers inhaled or absorbed it through their skin, leading to lead poisoning. So symptoms included tremors, stomach pain, madness, and eventual death. Some historians even believed it contributed to the illnesses of painters like Caravaggio and Goya. Morning, Deb and Bev as well. So despite the risk, lead white was prized for its covering power and warm tone. It mixed beautifully into flesh colours and gave all painters their characteristic glow. It also dried quickly, helping painters build layers fast. So for centuries, there simply wasn't a substitute. So every master from Rembrandt to Vermeer used it. So that's what I was saying. Would you, if we had something like that and there was no substitute, would you still use it? Because these guys did. I suppose we know the risks and how a lot of them probably became sick due to it. So in hindsight, you wouldn't, would you? But I suppose at the time, they didn't really know the outcome. So they happily used it because it was all they had. So I wanted to share my screen here because there's some pictures from Rembrandt that, hold on, got to set this up. More share. So many share buttons to press. Okay. From my notes again. So Rembrandt, his use of lead white, and in close-up of Rembrandt's portraits, you can see thick, luminous white paint in pastel on collars, cuffs, and skin highlights. He sometimes mixed white lead with chalk to add body as well. So that one on here. So Rembrandt's The Night Watch. So in this famous Night Watch, scientific imaging reveals that the bright white areas, like the garments or decorative metalwork, include layers of lead white. And his self-portraits often use lead white laid thickly to catch light on the face, giving skin texture, depth, and luminosity. You especially see it in the highlights of hair curls and forehead ridges. This one more. So The Return of the Prodigal Son by Rembrandt. So this dramatic painting shows strong contrast of light and shadow. In the illuminated parts of robes and flesh, lead white is likely among the pigments used to achieve that glowing effect. But today artists use titanium white or zinc white instead. It's safer synthetic alternative that mimic the opacity of transparency without the danger. So can you imagine working in a studio full of lead dust every day like the old masters did? And like I said, do you think you'd risk it for that sort of glowing paintings? But yeah, like I said, they didn't really have a choice, I suppose, to get what they wanted. Hold on, I've just got to find my chat again. Go back. So what's money? Frames of paints and solvents dust. Yes, I will still use my favourite colour. Oh, fumes of paints and solvent dust, yes. Well, that's true, Julie, very true. We still have dangers like that, don't we, in certain things, especially fumes from paints and that. But I suppose maybe I don't know, it might be a very slow, I mean, and as well, a lot of us lot are sort of, over 50. So I suppose you're starting to think, is it a slow cause of death? If so, then I'll outlive it anyway. So, all right. Hi, Cynthia. So yeah, I suppose it's everyone's own choice. Okay, so that's lead white. So Of course, it's dangerous. And then we've got chrome yellow, which is like the color of sunlight. If there's one pigment that captured the warmth of the sun, it's chrome yellow, made from, again, lead chromate. This brilliant yellow burst into the art scene in the early 19th century, and artists went absolutely crazy for it. Oh, Karen said, did they use it while knowing the dangers back then? That's what I was thinking, Karen. Maybe not. You know, it's all hindsight, isn't it? I'd say that they didn't know how dangerous it was. We know because we can look back on history and see that a lot of them went mad or had early deaths due to it. But yeah, it's like us with painting. You know, we're told it's safe, but you believe the manufacturers. But I think nowadays workplace health and safety is a lot stricter than it probably was back then. They probably didn't even know what workplace health and safety was. All right, so of course Van Gogh is a good one for yellow. Let's just put a couple of his images up on the screen. Just need to share this again, but we need to go here. Okay, so Vincent van Gogh famously adored chrome yellow. Oh, wait on. In his letters, he described yellow as the color of light, of life, of hope. You can see it glowing across his paintings, the fields, the sunflowers, the cafe terraces, all drenched in this luminous yellow. But chrome yellow had a dark side. So over time, it was discovered to be toxic due to its lead content as well. And even worse, it was chemically unstable. So in bright light, chrome yellow can oxidize and turn a dull brownish grey. Scientists have analysed Van Gogh's paintings and found areas where the once brilliant yellows have darkened over the decades. So imagine seeing some of his paintings when they were first done. They just would have been so vivid if a lot of them have faded over time. So chrome yellow was made by mixing lead nitrate with potassium chromate, producing those vivid lemon and golden tones. I just want to have a look at something here. No, that's all right. I'm just checking my images that I didn't have any other yellow ones to show you. Okay, so it was so striking that it was also used in fabrics, posters, and even school buses in the early 20th century. So today artists use cadmium yellow, which is vibrant, light, fast, and safe. Cadmiums give that same rich glow, but without the chemical instability. So we're so lucky, aren't we, that scientists have made paint safe for us. So chrome yellow symbolized optimism, light, and energy, but it's also a reminder of how pursuit of beauty sometimes came at a cost. Van Gogh loved chrome yellow, but knowing it could darken over time, would you still use it for something as bold as sunflowers? And once again, same thing, like you said, Karen, they probably didn't realize that it went brown over time. So, but again, they didn't have another alternative. And I suppose when you're creating work and selling it, you're not really thinking maybe, or they probably weren't thinking of, will it still be as bright in 100 years, 200 years? Because that's probably not their thought, and it's probably not your thought either. You want it to last your lifetime, of course. But yeah, I think I would still, I suppose. I mean, we still use reds a lot, and all red fades, all red paints, especially, and even reds in pastel. If it's not kept stored correctly, it will fade a lot quicker. But I know, being a sign writer, even like red paint always faded. Even the red vinyls, they don't come with any warranty or guarantee because they fade over time. It's just something red does, and maybe yellow is very similar in that as well. What did I say? We'll look back at maybe what pastel dust will do to us. Yeah, very true, Odette. I know a lot of people are already concerned with pastel dust. And you could wear a face mask when you work, but I think we're all sick of face masks after COVID. But yeah, and that's why everyone says stop blowing on your work, which is something I still do. And it's very naughty, but yeah, again, will I outlive the pastel dust slowly killing me? I don't know, but I hope so. Karen, you have chrome yellow acrylic paint. Barb says, but isn't cadmium not safe as well? Well, according to my notes, the cadmiums are a lot safer. I don't know that any paint's probably that safe in some of these colors, of course. You know, you certainly can't drink it. But yeah, I think, but when they say it's safe now, they're probably comparing it to what it used to be. But yeah, Karen, maybe, I don't know about chrome yellow. I didn't think they would still sell it, but they're probably still using the name and maybe they've made it differently. I'm really not sure. I didn't dive deep enough, but that's something if you're interested that you could really dive deeper into it. Because yeah, it's quite interesting where some of these colors came from and how we use them and how they were used. All right, so next we have malachite green, which they call the jewel of the pharaohs. So malachite is a copper carbonate material. It has been used as a pigment since ancient Egypt. So you can still see it on the walls of tombs, in the headdresses of painted gods, and in decorative artifacts. Hold on, I was going to share my screen again here because I do have some images of these. So let's share this. Its vivid green was once made by grinding natural malachite into a powder, washing it and mixing it with binders like egg or gum arabic. Actually, I thought, oh yeah, there's the other one. So they're the Egyptian sort of ones. But the challenge is malachite was both stunning and temperamental. The pigment was chemically unstable in oils. It could blacken or turn dull when exposed to acids or sulfur. In water-based mediums like tempera, it held its brilliance, which is why you see it lasting so well in medieval and Renaissance frescoes. In the 19th century, the Industrial Revolution gave us synthetic greens, which was emerald green and Paris green, both made from arsenic compounds. They were even brighter and more vivid than natural malachite, but they were deadly. So these greens weren't just in paints, they appeared in wallpaper, clothing, even children's toys. Victorians were literally decorating their parlours with arsenic dust. Hold on, I just want to share. These were just a few paintings here that use this green in it. Where is I had information about that and I can't find it. No, all right. Okay, so I did have here's some toys, that's right. So the Victorians loved emerald green so much they used it in wallpaper, clothing, dyes, toys, and artificial flowers. It's estimated that in the mid-1800s, hundreds of tons of arsenic pigment were used annually in wallpapers across England. Families reported mysterious illnesses, even deaths, from exposure to damp wallpaper that was releasing toxic arsenic gas, which is one reason many Victorian houses were sites of mysterious illnesses and fatalities. In 1860, English doctor A.W. Hoffman tested a child's toy made with emerald green paint and found lethal levels of arsenic in it. It said that Napoleon's wallpaper, a fashionable arsenic green, may have contributed to his illness and death while in exile. Eventually, safer greens like chromium oxide and phthalo green replaced them, offering stability without toxicity. So can you believe people once wallpapered their homes and painted children's toys with arsenic green? It's like, and again, not knowing, see, that's the thing. And there's probably things that'll come out in years to come that we didn't know about, you know, that we've been exposed to. But that one is, you know, especially the kids' toys, because, you know, kids chew on their toys, don't they? And it's like when, you know, babies' cots, when we were little, I suppose lead white maybe was still around then, because I know there was, they always went on about the kids chewing on the cots and getting lead poisoning. And then, what's the one? Asbestos. That's come out in our era, hasn't it? Asbestos poisoning. I have a cousin who died from it. He worked at James Hardie, and where they made whatever they were making full of asbestos. We still have houses that have asbestos in it. So that, you know, every generations there's things that they learn and you look back on and think, oh, how could they do that? But then you realize they didn't know at the time. So Karen, you're not going to ingest your chrome yellow. No, don't do that. If you aren't supposed to blow the dust, what do you do instead? Use a dust blower. Yeah, definitely, Barb. With, like I said, I just blow it. But you can get those little puffer things, you know, and just puff the dust away. But I mean, it's still going into the like getting blown around. What a lot of artists like to do with pastels is they like to, especially though, see, I don't get a lot of dust because I work with the pencils on pastel mat a lot. I mean, there's still dust there, but if you're using sticks on sandpaper, that's when you're going to get a lot more. And a lot say you should tap the back of your work, like go outside and just tap it, or as you're working, get some paper. You just grab a thing. So if you're working on an easel, oh, I'll do it with this. Okay, get some just newspaper, printer paper, any paper, and you just make a boat. Apparently, that's what you call it, a little boat like this. And you sit that on your easel, and your art painting sits down there. So then when you tap it, the back of it, the dust collects in here, and then you can just take that and go and tip it in the bin. Okay, so I suppose try and think of ways. So a puff is probably not the greatest idea either. By blowing it or puffing it, you're putting that dust sort of all around you, where you can inhale it. Whereas by trying to tap it off into something and then just tipping that in the bin, that's probably your safest way. Or like I said, wear a face mask if you're really worried. Okay. Julianne says, sounds like it would have been safer to be poor back then. Yeah, definitely. Wasn't that long ago that lead-based paint wasn't used on children's cots. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, plastics today that we inhale. And look, honestly, we'll all find out with our phone against our ear. They're already saying that technology like the radio waves or whatever they're called probably aren't going to be good for us. Okay, Karen said she has a little tiny computer vacuum. That's a great idea because, again, you're not blowing the dust out into the atmosphere, you're sucking it up. So that's a great one. Pastels. Okay. Oh yeah. And Julie Ann said she saw a guy. He has a little vacuum. Yeah, especially if you have asthma, that is definitely handy. All right. So green has always represented life, renewal, and nature, but historically it was also the color of envy and decay. Malachite green carried both sides of that meaning, so vibrant beauty and hidden danger. Here's another question. If you had to describe the feeling that green gives you, would it be peace, energy, or something else entirely? I think for me, green I just always associate it with nature. So I suppose, yeah, it can be peaceful. Depends, I suppose. But I don't know. A lot of people say you shouldn't use too much green in a painting, even landscapes. When I did a lesson with Elena Cherilova, she does stick pastel work, absolutely amazing stuff. And she was saying just small amounts of green is better. So in landscape is what she does. So I'm just looking at it over there. So we were talking about bringing warmth into it. So there was a lot of oranges and reds used in the landscape, and then a few hints of green. And like she said, because we associate trees, we see it every day. They're green, the grass is green, trees are green, all the rest of it. You really only need hints of green for us to register we already know it's green. Whereas paintings that have lots and lots of green, sometimes people don't like that. They just, I don't know, there's something about them. They just, it's too much. So just keep that in mind if you're doing landscapes or paintings with a lot of green in it. Try and break that green up a bit. All right. So, um, so what do these dazzling but dangerous pigments teach us? So that beauty and danger often come hand in hand in art history. Artists risk their health, sometimes their lives, for colours we now take for granted. Lead white gave brilliance to portraits but poisoned the painters. Chrome yellow captured sunlight but faded with time. And malachite and arsenic greens filled the world with brightness and sometimes death. So thankfully, modern chemistry has given us synthetic pigments that are safer, more stable, and even every bit as beautiful. But it's humbling to realise that every colour we use today stands on the shoulders of artists who quite literally suffered for their art. Okay, so next time you reach for a vibrant yellow or lush green pastel, think of Van Gogh's sunflowers glowing with chrome yellow or the malachite dust on the Egyptian tombs, and know that you're part of that same colourful story. So that's the three we're talking about today. So they were the dangerous and dazzling colours. Last week was ancient. And next week, like I said, we're going to do a third part. And next week, we are going to look at modern marvels and emotional colour. So we'll explore how new synthetic pigments change the art world forever. So we might go into that more about how they're a bit safer and all that. So I know these are a bit shorter than normal because that's just what they are. I don't want to go through too many colours because I think we could get a bit bored. So I'm just trying to pick 3 colours that are a bit interesting each time. So yeah, let me know if, no, I can't see any more comments. I'm actually heading out today, so it's worked in well that I'm finishing a little bit early. And yeah, if you're new here and you want to check out some tutorials, learn some pastel painting yourself, there's should be the link in the comments to go and check out the Creative Barn Essentials tier. As I said at the start, my little webinars where I was demonstrating this little barbed wire, I did the last one last night. So if you missed those, unfortunately, I'm not going to run those again. I might run them next year, but we'll probably do a different little demo. If you did register for those and weren't able to make a live, you should have received an email from me with the recording for that, okay? All right, I'm glad you found that interesting. Oh, hi, Evelyn, sorry. Yes, daylight saving. Everyone down south has gone into daylight savings in Queensland and WA, I think, and the NT. And I don't think South Australia does it either. I'm not sure. But we don't do daylight saving, so the time for me is the same. So everyone else has to adjust their clock, so I don't get confused. All right. So thank you, everyone. Yeah, it'll probably take you a while to get back into the daylight saving. So it's 9 a.m. for me. It'll be 10 a.m. for you guys down south. So, all right. Thanks for joining me again.